Pei Seng Chai, President of UPAGE, Brother Nachapang, General Secretary, brothers and sisters. I'm delighted to be here this evening to join you for UPAGE's 20th anniversary dinner. Brother Nachi mentioned that I attended your 10th anniversary dinner. I remember, I think it was at Neptune. Now it doesn't exist anymore. But actually, that was not the beginning of my association with UPAGE. I associated with UPAGE before you were UPAGE, when you were the PUB union, when I was an MTI. And then I was intimately involved in MTI, working with PUB, converting it into Sing Power, corporatizing Sing Power, UPAGE being formed. So I've attended several of your dinners and met your leaders many, many times over the years. I was involved in the restructuring of the power industry, which has taken the last 20 years. And I have tracked developments in the sector very closely because it's a very major change, and I wanted to make sure that the people were looked after. So even when I gave up the MTI appointment in 1992, I kept track of this, and whoever was the MTI minister, I was breathing down his neck to make sure that this important aspect of the job was seen to, make sure the people are taken care of as we restructure. So today I'm very glad to see many familiar faces and to catch up with many old friends. We are in a very important industry. I think you call it the OPEC cluster. We're not as powerful as the OPEC with the Saudi Arabians, but the Singapore OPEC cluster are the unions in the oil and petroleum and energy sector. And it's important to us because energy is the lifeblood of our economy. And without electricity, without reliable power supply, I think Singapore will be very different. You cannot have a modern Singapore. And for us, that's a big challenge because we're a small place, no natural energy resources, no oil, no gas, no hydro, no geothermal. Even solar, you got to put panels on every HDB rooftop, still not enough. But we have to generate a reliable power supply for the whole country all the time. And relying on imports, of fuel oil, of piped natural gas, now of liquid natural gas. And therefore we are vulnerable to supply risks, fluctuations in the global economy, or sometimes when your suppliers let us down, vulnerable to prices going down, going up, affecting us straight away. But over the years, we've adapted, we've diversified our energy sources. Now we have an industry which is more resilient, more reliable, and more secure. So much so that when once in a while somebody in Singapore has a power breakdown for 1.5 hours, you are on the front page of the newspapers. But don't let it happen too often. One very important thing we did to get here was to restructure the energy sector. And it started with corporatizing PUB's electricity and gas departments, which became Sing Power. And Sing Power was one company. All of the electricity and gas departments, Pau Kaliao inside there. And we nearly floated Sing Power like that. But fortunately, we took advice, we paused, we decided that we needed to improve the structure, we made changes, we realized we didn't have a good position yet, we made further changes, and it took 20 years of progressive changes, restructuring the industry, hiving off the GenCos, opening up the generation and retail markets to commercial players, splitting off the power grid, selling off the GenCos one by one, after we had the whole structure put in place. It took us 20 years, but that result is today's industry and today's supply, high quality, reliable, tip-top. And who has benefited? Singaporeans have benefited. The economy has benefited. The workers have benefited because your wages are higher, your productivity is higher, and the industry has expanded There are actually many more jobs in the industry today than when we started. But it hasn't been easy coming here, because every round of restructuring is unsettling, is painful. And sometimes there were retrenchments, there were changes to pay structures, certainly many changes in the way we worked, changes in which kind of generators we keep, the steam ones, the fuel oil ones, now we have the cogen ones, changes in the way the market worked, in the way the pay structures were developed. But we made the journey successfully, and we could only do that because we had the full cooperation and confidence and trust of the union, of UPAGE. When UPAGE has been fully committed to the national interest, working tirelessly with the government and with the management to prepare workers for the change, to foster mutual cooperation, trust, and respect. And most critically, UPAGE advanced the interests of workers, helped workers to move up, so that UPAGE trusted the workers trusted UPAGE to defend their interests. I just asked Brother Nachi, what's your union membership rate in the industry? He says 95%. I think it must be one of the highest of any industry in Singapore. And it shows. It shows how much confidence people have. It shows what a good job UPAGE has done, and also reminds us, UPAGE, please continue to work hard. But because you have done it, wages have gone up for technical workers. Workers have been upgraded. They're doing higher skilled jobs. Lives have improved. And even when there were retrenchment exercises, they saved as many jobs as possible and helped the affected workers to find new jobs. So I would like to pay tribute and express my profound thanks to the leaders, the founding members, and even the current members of UPAGE, starting with the late Brother Nityanandan, who traveled with us through many twists and turns of the restructuring over many years, from the beginning until he passed away about 5 years ago. He worked with us, maintained trust, made sure that workers were taken care of and treated fairly. And when the retrenchments were unavoidable, he convinced himself that they were really unavoidable, and then fought for the workers so that the number of workers affected would be minimized. And he went out and he was courageous to sell the package to workers. And when circumstances changed, we were planning to list Sing Power. There was going to be a bonus upon listing because you would get shares. The listing had to be postponed. Actually, we've postponed it now 15 years. But it was necessary to be postponed. He pushed for the workers to be given something in fairness because this was a change of plan. And he lobbied me personally. I think Brother Boon Heng was organizing we had a gathering, and he arranged for Niti to sit in the chair behind me. So instead of listening to the persons on stage, I was chatting with Niti what to do about this problem. We solved this problem. We worked out the package, and I think it was fair, and the unions accepted it, the workers accepted it, and our trust was strengthened. And Niti kept this up and fought for workers right to the very end. He was ill, he was dying, he knew. But he continued to make sure that his job was done. Until a few days before he passed away, he ensured that collective agreements were completed and signed with the GenCos that were going to be sold. He made sure that the workers in those GenCos were taken care of. I think he negotiated with Kim Hin, who was then in Temasek, and he settled that. After that, he says, done. I can go in peace. So I'm very honored that his wife, Vimala, is here with us today. Thank you. I'd also like to mention Brother Raman Mabob, who was the first president of UPAGE. He's also here today. Where are you, Raman? I just saw you. There you are. from being a shop steward in the City Council Staff Union, that means pre-1959, 60 years ago. He rose to become president of UPAGE, rallied the workers to support the restructuring. And I think he lived this progress of Singapore in his own life. So when he spoke at the NTUC tribute event for Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, he spoke from his heart. Thank you, Brother Raman. I'd like to mention Brother Nachi, of course, who is General Secretary and has just spoken tonight. Brother Niti mentored him, and he's been a unionist more than 30 years. There are many, he has carried on the baton, he's taken the union further forward. I believe he's celebrating his birthday on August 28th next month, and flowing on, and will be Emeritus General Secretary. And we wish him all the best and look forward to his wise counsel and advice, which will be very much sought after. There are many more too, but I don't think I can mention all of them, so I'd like to thank all of them, especially the ones in the pioneer generation, but I would say even those not quite in the pioneer generation, if you fought the good fight and worked with us, thank you very much for your services and your support. We don't take your efforts and your contributions for granted. We know it's important because without you, we would not be here today. It's just not possible. And it's not just the power industry not here today, but Singapore would not be here today. But Singapore is not going to be here tomorrow. We are going to be in a different place tomorrow. The world is changing. We are changing. The power industry is changing. New players have entered the power industry. The global market for oil and gas is not so certain. It's volatile. You enter into a contract, take or pay. You don't know when the moment comes whether you really want to take and whether you will regret having to pay. So that will be challenges for all of us, for the companies, for the workers, for your families too, and for the government. How do we shepherd all of us safely through in such an unstable environment? But I think if we work together, employers, unions, government, tripartism, we pull through. Every year, May Day, union functions, employer functions, I sing this one song, tripartism. And NTUC, solidarity forever, because that is the way we can pull through. As we have done so in the past, so too we must in the future. And today, I think we must count our blessings, but at the same time understand what our happy situation depends on, and not forget the investments which we have made over so many years in order to get here. The investments in trust, in developing a relationship, in sharing information, in being able to solve problems together, speaking frankly, but taking a long-term perspective of your workers' interests, not pushing for maximum bonuses every year, long-term perspective of the company's interests, not trying to squeeze every drop of blood out of your workers, so that you have the trust there, up and down, thick and thin. We are in this together. Tomorrow, we will still be working together. And so you have to take a long-term view, not just the unions, but the companies too. And when you talk about cost-cutting, when you talk about profit maximization, when you talk about returns to shareholders and efficiency, yes, all these are important, but understand that there's an impact on workers, that there's a long-term relationship with the workers. They are not just employees, but also stakeholders. And we may be having a thin year today, but we have had fat years in the past. And we have gone through them, and I think we have built up a relationship which must see us through thin years as well. The government is on the side of the workers. We have always been. We have to be fair to companies because the companies enable the workers to be productive, to generate the productivity, the wealth, and to afford a good living for all of us. But remember, this is a long-term relationship, not a one-off quick arrangement, and build on it so that we can manage the challenges. I think your president mentioned some of them just now, Brother Seng Chai, and they know how to put it in such a nice way that you really can't disagree, even though you wish it were different. And I don't have to make more arguments on his behalf. I can leave it to him. But I think I should put on record the government's position that we are very grateful for the unions, for your contributions over these 20-something years, UPAGE, and we look forward to your contributions over more than 20-something years to come. And the industry will change, but I think the need to have a union which is strong, which is responsible, which is forward-looking, which cares for its members, and works with the government and with the employers and has good standing. I think that is not going to change, and we must not allow that to change. So I wish you all a very happy 20th anniversary. I wish all the Muslim members and friends present here Selamat Hari Raya Idul Fitri, and I look forward to being invited many more times in future, 30th, 40th, and 50th. Thank you.